Hello, everyone. Nope,
That was really intense.
that was super intense.
I liked it, but I think people driving might be like, whoa!
Let's try that again.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Go Up Podcast Edition.
Where we explore the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven.
We're your hosts. I'm Dean.
And I'm Karitas.
Karitas, it's winter.
Wow. Good observation.
Good observation.
I don't know. We don't really have winter here.
Not
as
really.
far as Canadian winter goes, we're kind of spoiled.
We are.
Except we do get a lot of rain, which I think shocks some people's system who move here.
It does. It shocked my system when I moved here.
What do you mean you don't see the sun for 2 months? It's up there, just behind those clouds. Like, it's still there.
Basically,
Yeah.
we go by faith on that.
Yeah, so in Canada, you can either have no sun, but, above zero, or you can have sun, but minus 20 degrees Celsius.
Make your choice. All right, Karitas, today we're talking about legacies.
Ooh.
You showed me a really funny little YouTube clip.
Okay, people, there's this hilarious interview. Some young teeny bopper is interviewing Mike Tyson before some fight last month or something.
Oh, yeah.
So she's like asking him, what do you want your legacy to be? Mike Tyson, right? What's legacy matter? I'll be dead. I'll just be a pile of ashes.
It was so bad.
Depressing.
Just like,
Just be in the ground and be a pile of bones and dust and like, what's legacy? Who cares? And this kid's just like, wow, okay then. Thank you for sharing that opinion of yours. I just never heard that one before. Moving on. She handled it well.
Yeah, that's true.
It was too funny.
However, today we're talking about kingdom legacies, what a good legacy would look like
Yeah.
from the standpoint of the kingdom of
Yeah.
heaven. Greatest, before we go on too far, we need to remind our faithful Let's Go Uppers about our website.
Okay. What is our website?
What is our website? Our
It's not
website.
Amazon.ca. Yes, let's go up.us.
Yeah, because we're in this together
Even at Christmas time.
of all times at
Of
Christmas
all time.
times. That's right. And on our website are links to all kinds of things. It's an easy place to find where to watch, where to listen, podcast platforms and YouTube, some blogs and other stuff.
That's pretty cool. It's all there.
Like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell. Extremely important.
Life and death.
Life and death.
You might just miss an episode and then what? Oh.
Oh no, don't want to miss an episode. So we only have another couple of weeks to say notificated a whole bunch of times in our effort to get our word coined here and Let's Go Up into the dictionary
Yeah.
for the 2024 year.
You misuse a word enough, then they'll eventually put it in the dictionary.
Because I'm sure they're listening right now
Yes.
somewhere.
At least the thesaurus, if we could at least get it in there. It's like another way to say the word.
Right. That would be a good
Yeah.
first place.
Once you're in there, you are a word,
Shoe in.
a shoe in.
Goals. Yeah.
This is our goal here at Let's Go Up.
All right. Karitas, we were talking about winter. I've always wondered why at Christmas time the North Pole gets all of the attention.
Yeah. Hello. There's a South Pole.
There is a South Pole.
What is up with the South Pole and why is nobody talking about the South Pole?
That's right.
All the scientists out there, we're talking about the South Pole.
Well, only the scientists.
We have labs there.
Right. But I thought maybe today we could ask Meta AI, Llama 3.2, some things about the South Pole because maybe there's something we're missing.
Southernmost point of the earth.
Right. And also, St. Nicholas. Who was he actually?
Okay, yeah, he matters because apparently he lived on the North Pole, but he didn't.
Where did he live?
Okay, this is going to make me sound really dorky, but I did Wikipedia St. Nicholas before because why not? Truth bomb time here. Okay.
All right.
St. Nicholas was born in Patara, Lycia, which is now modern day Turkey.
Really?
Yeah, and he was of Greek descent. He is not a white-haired Caucasian man from the sounds of it. He's
No.
probably got some nice dark locks, some tan skin.
Dark curly locks with olive colored skin.
Yeah, that's the real St. Nicholas right there
Okay,
from
wow.
Turkey.
You're right. That is a truth bomb. Did he ever make it to the North Pole?
Why would you leave Turkey and go to the North Pole? That's my question.
Okay.
I'm just sick of this warmth and sunshine.
These beaches. Tired of it.
I feel like that's westernization for you.
So let's ask Llama 3. If there was a Santa at the South Pole, what would his name be?
That's really nice of you to think of the South Pole. If there was a Santa at the South Pole, what would his name be? Okay. If there was a Santa at the South Pole, his name could be something like Santa Polaris.
Okay. Wow.
Polar Claus,
Polar Claus.
South Pole Sam, Antarctic Claus,
Antarctic Claus.
Ice Kris Kringle, Frosty Nick, or Snowy Saint Nick. Yeah, just kind of started off strong and got
Kind of went down. Okay, but anyway, that's interesting. I would like to know what he would use for propulsion.
How would South Pole Santa get around? Good question. At the South Pole, traditional reindeer might not be the best fit due to the extreme climate. Okay, Iceland has some reindeer, but I'm pretty sure they were imported.
Right.
So they're talking about you could import reindeer.
True.
But you probably shouldn't.
Right.
Here are some alternative ways South Pole Santa could get around.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Round 2 of having your mind blown?
Yep.
Okay, you could probably have guessed this one. The penguin-powered sleigh.
Okay.
Right? A team of trained penguins could pull Santa's sleigh through the snowy landscape.
All right.
Seal-drawn sled.
Seal-drawn sled. Okay.
He could harness the strength of seals to pull his sled across the ice.
Makes sense.
Snowy owl squadron.
Oh.
A flock of snowy owls could fly ahead, scouting the route and guiding Santa's sleigh. Sled dogs and parkas. A team of sled dogs dressed in warm parkas could pull Santa's sleigh through the Antarctic terrain. Or a magic snowmobile. Santa could ride a high-tech magic snowmobile that could traverse the snowy landscape with ease. Okay, that's ridiculous. A magic snowmobile? The penguin sled, though.
Penguins work. So, Karitas, there's a reason why I'm asking about the South Pole, because I've always had this secret wish to someday go to the Antarctica.
I haven't met many people who have Antarctica as their bucket list item.
That's me.
Yeah. Should I ask what else is on your dream list
No.
of places to go?
I think there's some stuff down there that's very mysterious. Yeah. All right. Anyhow, I say bring back South Pole Christmas.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Bring it on and bring on this Antarctic Claus. Because St. Nicholas is like, okay, guys, just how did I get wrapped up in this weird Santa Claus thing? Like,
That's right.
Keep me out of this. Like, just take my name off that day, please. Yeah. Well, we talked about that last year, didn't we? About Mother's Day, the lady who came up with Mother's Day. Just this nice little holiday idea she had for her little community turned into this huge Hallmark holiday. And she spent the rest of her living days trying to remove Mother's Day from the calendar.
That's true, actually.
Irked her so much what it had turned into.
Yeah. Well, St. Nicholas does have a legacy. Today, we're talking about kingdom legacies. I was inspired by people who walked with God and talked with God and were friends with God.
Like St. Nicholas.
Yeah.
I heard he walked on water. He had
really?
some pretty wild miracles. He raised the dead, a child that had died, and had quite the relationship with the Lord, it sounds like.
I've always been fascinated by how people view legacy.
Like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm starting to notice it now just because of my age, but I notice a lot of people are in this mode in life where they want to pass, especially their knowledge, on to the next generation.
Okay.
Or they want to mentor people. I look at it and I go, wow, like, what do we want to pass on, or what even matters? Because when I was growing up, I have to admit, like, there were teachers and stuff like that I gleaned from, but I didn't really want anybody's legacy. I wanted to do it on my own. I wanted to build my own life. There are places in the scriptures that say, to glean from wise people. There's a place for that, but
Yeah. Well, you were just talking the other week about how these employees are noticing that, we want to hire these minions to come in and just do what we want them to do. But they're coming in with their own ideas and their own motivations and their own desire to leave a legacy or make an impact.
yeah.
And not all bosses like that.
No, sometimes the boss just wants it to be the way he wants it
You're
to be.
coming into my legacy here.
Right. I do have a couple of statements here. Now, it's really early for statement time with Dean,
Yes. Where's my blankie?
but I can promise you there won't be any more after this.
I really need a blanket.
That can come in the new year.
Okay. Doesn't mean I can't get cozy. All right, folks. Welcome to Statement Time with Dean.
This is not really statement time, borderline.
It's the margarine of statement time.
It's called reading a couple of paragraphs to get us going. Inherent in each one of us is the desire to leave behind a legacy. How are we doing so
Okay,
far?
this is pretty good.
Good.
All
All
right,
right.
sure.
This often looks like us wanting to leave a deposit of faith in those around us. Sometimes it looks like wanting to mentor a younger generation or leaving a legacy of teaching or what we have learned.
It's nice.
Good. Anything that would serve to inspire a generation beyond our years to a fullness of faith. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Very pretty.
In many cases, the desire to leave a legacy becomes a hidden fleshly desire for our existence or influence on the earth to be extended into the future beyond the years that we are given here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
However, life goes on and we ultimately disappear from the scene. New generations come up, old ones go. Even great visions and passion, sometimes entire movements, lose their appeal and disappear as the hands of time march onwards. Great things that are on the earth, they disappear with the generations. I had a thought this past week that was inspired by a scripture that I ran across in the book of Daniel.
Ooh.
So this is in Daniel chapter 4, verse 34. And what had happened is that the king Nebuchadnezzar, he got really big on himself. And the hand of God came on him. He ended up in a situation where he was mentally ill for 7 years. So mentally ill that evidently he was walking around like an animal on all fours, and he was eating grass. But at the end of 7 years, he came to himself, and God restored him to his throne. And this is what he said. I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes towards heaven, and my reason returned to me. So that's when he was healed from his mental illness. And I blessed the Most High and praised and honor him who lives forever. And then this statement here, for his dominion is an everlasting dominion. So his kingdom is everlasting and it is linear because it does say that of the increase of his kingdom, there will be no end.
Oh, yes.
So from the time that it started till eternity, however we process that, the kingdom is ever increasing. So that dominion is everlasting. And then there's a second part here that says, and his kingdom endures from generation to generation. So it's everlasting, but every generation gets their kick at this can. Every generation gets their chance to make their mark. The kingdom, it's everlasting, but it's also generational. As the generations turn, each generation has a place in the kingdom of heaven. But you got to realize that this earth is a revolving planet that is a beginning place for our human species. And we come and we go off this planet. So when we're here, we have our chance to be part of that generational kingdom for the generation that we live in. And when we're gone, somebody else gets to do it. But we all get that same chance.
Yeah.
And somehow in amongst that, the kingdom keeps expanding throughout eternity. So I guess there is a little bit of overlap there that could be considered legacy, right?
Yeah. I think we can get confused and we can turn it into our kingdom and our legacy. But what you're saying here is there is this kingdom, this massive, all-encompassing, eternal, ever-expanding kingdom.
That's right.
And then we have this little blip of time here, but we're living eternally there. And this little blip of time here, we could waste it trying to establish something here on this planet that's fading, or we could have a kingdom perspective and leave a kingdom legacy.
Yes.
Where there's a legacy in heaven.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Is that kind of where we're going?
That's where we're going today.
We're both like, yeah, that makes sense. Everyone else, what?
Sounds good to me.
What's happening?
That's perfect.
Doesn't make sense. Let's do it.
That's right.
It's mysterious.
It is. It
so
is.
We're going there then.
We are, yeah. So I think what we want to talk about today is how to leave a legacy in heaven where it really matters rather than leaving one on earth.
Yeah.
We're going to go through a bunch of legacies in the scriptures that are spoken of where people left an impression on heaven.
Okay.
That's what we're doing today.
Nice.
Nice. It's going to be so exciting.
I'm already excited. And I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, nor do I.
Okay. So we were talking about Daniel.
That's right.
That is the same book where they have Shadrach, Meshach.
And Abednego.
Okay, these guys worshiping the Lord, loving him, fixing their eyes on him. The world is like, no, you can't do that. Yeah, we can. Just keep loving the Lord. Throws them in the fire. They don't burn. They don't even smell like smoke. No singe marks or anything. Come out. Like, talk about leaving a legacy in heaven.
That's right.
Their faith. So we're rolling in with
We
the
are
Daniel.
rolling in.
And we're going strong.
We want to discuss legacy from a standpoint of not what we leave that impresses people, but what we do that impresses God. In other words, we want to make an impression in heaven rather than on the earth.
His kingdom endures.
That's right.
From generation to generation and beyond.
That's right.
Yeah.
Karitas.
Dean.
We got them all here. There's probably about a good 7 or 8 legacies here.
Okay, so these first 2 legacies are said about people who walked with God.
To walk with God. Now that's a legacy.
Yeah.
Right there.
Right? Hello. Enoch, Genesis 5, verse 24. He walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Say what?
Yeah. Genesis 6:9. These are the records of the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. That's what it says about Noah.
Walked with God.
So what would walking with God look like? That's the question.
Yeah, what does it look like today?
Yeah, because we get this one statement, Enoch walked with God.
Yeah.
Noah walked with God. But what did they do? Did they go out for a walk with him every morning?
I feel like to walk with God, it's every step you're walking with him. Every movement, every moment, every thought, every choice, you're with him. You're walking with him. I don't think we're going on a walk with him. I think we're walking with him.
Except for our friend James Bonney, who goes on a walk with God every morning.
Yeah, he goes on a walk with God, but he walks with God.
That's right. So I think you're right. Every step that we take is a step that he takes. Because we're in him and he's in us. We're moving and he's moving.
Like Enoch, his life was so tangled up with the Lord that he's like, you're basically already here.
You might as well just
You
stay.
may as well just stay.
That's right.
He had to have been going up and down. And it was just at this point like, okay.
He did go up and down a lot. If you read the book of Enoch, it's full of him making the trip back and forth. He would get called and he would go and then he would come back again. And he was gone one time for like a whole year.
Everyone's like, have you guys seen Enoch lately?
Yeah.
I think about like 200 some days ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Adam and Eve? They walked with God in the cool of the day
Right.
in the garden.
In the cool of the day, though.
Yeah, it kind of makes it sound like just this one time of day.
Yeah, just once a day when it feels good.
Not too hot, not too cold, just right.
What would have happened if they walked with God all day?
Yeah, okay.
I wonder.
Probably wouldn't have walked down that slippery slope of listening to the snake.
We should really be walking with him all day, right?
So, Acts 4, check this one out.
Okay.
Because we're talking about walking with God, right?
We are.
I think they were the Pharisees. They saw the boldness of Peter and John, and they realized that they were uneducated and ordinary men, and they were amazed, and they recognized them as companions of Jesus, or as those who had been with Jesus. So these guys, there was this legacy that even these people who were kind of resisting them saw. They had been with him, that they walked with him. The kingdom will see this, but the world also recognizes it. These ones walk with the Lord. There's something different.
So Enoch walked with God, and God eventually took him right to heaven because he was walking so closely with God that, like you said, he's already there. Might as well just stay.
Just all your toothbrush is already in the cup.
That's right.
Just moving.
Noah had a crazy life. I mean, can you imagine 120 years? That's how long it took him to build the ark. And the whole time, he was listening for instructions from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, something like this had never been done before. Packing up an entire world full of animals.
Yeah, I just saw this funny joke this week. I can't even really remember it, but it was a picture of the Titanic and a picture of Noah's Ark. And it was like, this one was built by professionals and engineers, and everyone was, and this one was built by a madman in the desert. And it's like, everyone's judging Noah and thinking he's crazy. But look at this boat.
Can you imagine building something like that in the middle of the desert? Anyhow. So Noah walked with God and Enoch walked with God.
Yeah.
And both of them had ultra supernatural lives. Major conversations with God, wanting with the Creator.
And the world up until their end on this planet thought they were crazy and didn't accept them yet. Look at their legacy in the kingdom.
That's right.
You're the ones, you walked with God.
That's right. I want it to be said of me that I walked with God. That'd be a great legacy to have.
Yeah.
So we got another winner here. The reason I love this one is because I remember being in a fire tunnel one time.
Classic. Just
Classic.
regular Saturday night fire tunnel.
Yeah. I was going to a little church and they would have fire tunnels many Sunday nights. So I went through this fire tunnel. And I still remember it to this day, this elderly gentleman, he just put his hands on me as I was walking through and he kept saying to me, friend of God, friend of God, friend of God, friend of God, friend of God. He wouldn't let me go. He just kept saying, friend of God. So this next legacy is the legacy of being called a friend of God. I just heard somebody say this week that they were talking with Jesus, just having a little conversation.
Yep.
And this person was saying, well, Jesus, I want to be like a prophet. I want to be an apostle. I want to be a teacher. And Jesus said, I've got lots of prophets. I've got lots of apostles. I've got lots of teachers, but I don't have very many friends. Why don't you be my friend?
Wow.
Instead? And so he did that. He's become a friend of God, a friend of Jesus. And Jesus said, bring others to be my friend.
And it's a totally different kind of friendship because often in the world, people will love you for what you bring in. Oh, you're a musician. You're my friend.
Yeah.
Will you play at this? Oh, we'll invite you to our wedding, or we'll do this. And you feel all those things for them because you're bringing something. And Jesus is like, no, I don't need any of that stuff. I just want a friend. I don't know if we expect that from him. Someone who just wants to be our friend with no strings attached. We don't need to bring anything in. He's not looking for anything from us, just friendship.
That's right.
You experience it here sometimes, but it's very rare to just find a friend who sees you and loves you as a friend.
Yeah. There is a verse that talks about this. James 2:23. The scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed God. It was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called a friend of God. Jesus also said in John 15:15, no longer do I call you slaves, for the slave does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends, because all the things that I have heard from my Father I have made known to you. In a relationship of friendship with Jesus, he's making things known to us that the Father is saying. All the things, actually.
Wow, yeah.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, he's an open book.
He is an open book. Pursue a friendship with him. That's a legacy to be had right there.
Wow. And I think when you are in a relationship of friendship with Jesus, you'll look back and you'll start to notice, I can't really remember the last time I've asked him for something. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, why? But then I started to realize I just have been recognizing what's already available, or he's just been showing me things. It's just this relationship now with him as a friend. He's not hiding anything from me. Just walking with him, he reveals everything we need and he gives what we need. Mm-hmm. And it's not us begging him, please, please. It's just relational.
The same podcast that I was listening to where this person talked about Jesus saying, just be my friend. He was describing how when he was a small kid, just like we play with our friend, he used to go in his closet and he used to play with Jesus and the angels.
Whoa. Okay. How many kids' imaginary friends maybe are actually angels or something?
That's right.
We're like, oh, that's imaginary. And we feed that to them. That's not real. It's imaginary. But what if it's not imaginary? What if they can just see something that we don't see?
Yeah.
Curious.
I actually think that in order to be that kind of a friend to Jesus, we have to approach this as a child. Craziest thought here, but what would it look like to play in a sandbox with Jesus? What would it look like to go to coffee with Jesus? Like I go with my friend for a coffee. Like all the things that we do with our close friends and the way that we share, what would it look like to do those things with Jesus? That's something that only you as a listener can imagine. I encourage you to explore that in your life in the areas that you would explore with any of your other friends. Jesus is not just an imaginary person. He is a real person. You can have real conversations with him, and you can do the same things with him that you would do with your friend. Yeah. It's entirely possible.
And when you recognize that, you never feel alone. Like it sounds cheesy, but it's true. When the reality of his relationship with you hits, when you start experiencing that with him, because you open up the realm of possibility of having a friendship with him, you experience this fullness that you could never have with anything else.
Yeah. So the legacy of being a friend of God or a friend of Jesus, I think that's something that would actually really get the attention of heaven.
Yeah.
That would be quite the legacy to leave, because you're creating this legacy, but when you make the transition over to eternity, you're entering into the legacy that you've created.
Wow. And even with guys like Abraham, there was angels involved.
Oh, yeah.
It intertwines all these other beings as well, because they're friends with him. Your friendship with him connects you to a whole other host of happy beings.
Happy beings.
Well, I don't know what to call you guys. They're like, we have names.
Okay, speaking of that, just lately I've been engaging, this is going to sound really strange to those who would think it's strange, but so what? This is Let's Go Up.
We're strange.
We talk about mysteries and we explore. So I've been engaging with my guardian angel, because I decided none of us really know who our guardian is.
Yeah, and you owe yours a big thanks, because they saved your life at least once.
Several times.
Right. So I've heard some stories.
Yeah. So anyhow.
About that time last summer. Did I ever thank you?
So I told my angel, my guardian angel, I want you to be the most loved angel of all the guardian angels.
Oh,
I want you to go to heaven and say, you won't believe what Dean did for me today, or you won't believe what Dean said to me today. So I've been trying to be kind to this being as if he was a friend, because he is a friend.
yeah.
Evidently, they love us very much. And why couldn't my guardian angel be the most loved guardian angel of all the angels on planet Earth?
Love it.
Why couldn't he be? So why not leave a legacy of a person who loves angels?
Wow, Dean. Got to stop you there for a mic drop. Kapow. Just thud.
Thud. Just hit.
Just hit. Yeah.
Solid.
You know what? Now, me and all of our listeners are going to be trying to get our angels to be the most loved ones. So they're all going to be like, yeah, but.
All right. So what I did is I asked my angel, what is your name? And he said to me, well, it's not really pronounceable in English.
Okay.
He said, what would you like to call me?
Like a nickname, maybe? Yeah.
Like a nickname.
Like kind of an endearing name
Yes.
that you give someone. Yeah.
So we've come up with a name.
Okay. Is it secret?
Do you want to know what it is?
Of course I want to know what
I
it
don't know if I should tell it.
is. Let's hear it.
You really
You
wanna
have the
know?
power of editing anyways. So
Okay.
if you don't want to share it with the world, of
Okay,
course I
so-
want to know. Is it Buttercup?
No. Okay, so my angel and I decided that his nickname would be Beamer.
Beamer.
Yes. So now every time that I see like a flash of light or something, I know it's Beamer.
Okay. Those are not people high beaming you for going too
No.
slow. It is Beamer.
That's right.
Oh, he's behind me on the highway.
That's right.
They're like, why is that crazy man smiling and driving so slow?
I see him oftentimes as like a beam of light, always vertical.
Yeah, your optometrist is like, oh, you should be coming in and seeing me now. You're seeing beams of vertical.
That's right. Anyhow,
Oh, it's just Beamer. Don't worry about it.
it's all good. It's all good. All right,
Very
we're moving
cool.
on.
No, I love what you say about that though, because just including these beings in everyday things, like you're going into a situation where maybe you should just pray, dear Jesus, be with me here, fill this room with your light, but also including like, come on guys, this is a team here. I know you're there. Let's do this together. Jesus, Holy Spirit, Beamer,
right.
Lady Wisdom.
Yeah, there you
Anyone who
go.
shows up, you're welcome. And let's fill this place with kingdom realities.
There you go.
Let's bring the light. Like, whoa, talk about a gang.
Talk about leaving a legacy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Beamer. Moving on.
So the third legacy, the legacy of being a person of faith.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the reason why this one is kind of important is because if you want to be a person who actually leaves a legacy behind on this earth, faith is a good one to go for, because faith is a living substance. Now abide these three things. They live: faith, hope, and love. So if you're a person of faith, the things that you engage with in faith, they will remain because they abide. So there can be a legacy left behind on this earth with faith.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me in 2 Timothy, right at the beginning, he says, I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother, Lois, and your mother, Eunice, and now, I am sure, dwells in you as
There you
well.
go. You're right.
So there was this legacy from the faith that dwelt in the grandmother and the mother that he saw.
That's right. That came on to Timothy.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Living.
It's a living substance, and it can be passed on from generation to generation. So Abraham, he's the father of faith. His faith had such a legacy attached to it that it affected every family on the earth. It affected how Jesus came and our salvation. It all stemmed from the faith of Abraham. So faith is an awesome living substance that can produce legacy. And it also gets the attention of heaven. Hebrews 11:4, by faith Abel offered to God a better sacrifice than Cain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through which he was attested to be righteous, God testifying about his gifts, and through faith, though he is dead, he still speaks. So you see, the faith of Abel gave him a legacy where he still has a say,
Wow.
even today.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of what I had touched on at the beginning about those 3 dudes in the fire. So there's this legacy alive today that we can be thrown into a fiery furnace, whatever the circumstances are, and be so connected to him that we come out not even singed, not even affected, and carrying no unforgiveness and no offense in our hearts. Like after they came out of the fire, the very king that threw them in there promoted them, and they weren't like, you jerk, you just threw us in fire. They took the jobs.
That's right.
This legacy of someone who could be so attacked, but so filled with faith and focus and love on the Lord that they can come out and the very person that attacked them, they take the promotion. It's wild. It spoke of something very real now that we can live by.
Faith is a substance, and it's a living substance. And for that reason, it can and it does leave legacy.
In Galatians 2, he says, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. So our whole life, this legacy of faith completely tied into him. And now we'll never die. We have this eternal life with him. Talk about legacy with the legacy.
Legacy with the legacy.
He is the legacy.
He is.
It all boils down to Jesus as the legacy.
That's good, Karitas.
Okay.
All right, we got another legacy here.
Okay, yes.
This one here, I love. One of my favorite verses in the whole Bible. Top 5 for me.
Yeah, we love this one.
Deuteronomy 34:10. So this is talking about Moses. Since that time, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses. This is the legacy of Moses here, whom the Lord knew face to face.
The knowing him and knowing face to face.
Yeah.
Knowing him on steroids.
What a legacy that is.
Yeah.
To be known as one who God knew face to face. God used to come down and talk to him face to face like a man talks to his friend, tying into being a friend of God once again, right? He had no fear of going into that cloud on the mountain. He knew the character of God. He knew his ways.
You're walking down those gold cobblestone steps in heaven and they're like, hey, that's the guy who knew God face to face.
There you go. I would much rather be known like that than to leave any kind of a legacy behind here on this earth.
He owned 30 businesses and ran a country.
What?
No, he was
Who cares?
one.
He knew God face to face.
Those would be the whispers you hear as you walk down through that pearly gate. Mystery in its own, a gate of pearl.
Yes,
We'll cover that
someday.
someday, but we're too distracted by the whispers in heaven.
Just imagine, going into that secret place and God would come down and talk to him face to face. And his legacy is, since that time, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face.
Wow.
I just want to sit on that for a second here. A moment of silence, shall we?
The thing is, we often hear something like this and we think, oh, that was for Moses, not me. But was it meant to just be for Moses?
No.
We need to remove that veil, that deception, that this isn't available for all of us.
Because when Moses would go into that tent, he would take the veil off, would he not? Then he came out, he'd be shining.
Yeah, and the priests would go into that inner sanctuary, the Holy Holies, but nobody else could. They'd go beyond the veil. Was not something torn? Was there not some kind of...
Something was torn.
It has been rent. It has been torn. We need to not be too afraid to step through that and be unveiled and accept it. He's not going to force his face onto us.
No. There's just no way that you can say anymore that that's not possible.
No one who sees God lives. Well, good thing I've already died.
That's right. To be known as one who the Lord knows face to face.
Yeah.
Okay, Karitas, another one.
The legacy of being a person after God's own heart.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have to sit and soak that one in too.
Yeah, so Acts 13, check it out. I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after my heart, who will do all my will.
1 Samuel 13:14. The Lord has sought for himself a man after his own heart. He found him out in the wilderness with the sheep. Looked everywhere. I see.
Perfect.
I spy with my little eye. But the reason why God chose him was because he had a heart that's aligned. It's like John, head on the chest of Jesus.
Yeah, syncing up.
Syncing up,
The
that's what it is.
rhythm.
So what would it be like to be a person with the legacy of being one who is after God's heart? Rocks me.
Yeah. Being in sync with him on a heart level would transfer into every area of your life, regardless of what you do, whether you're running a fancy schmancy business or you're cleaning the floors of said business.
Right.
Wherever you find yourself in life can leave just as powerful of a legacy.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So
We have to keep going here.
the legacy of one who loved his appearing.
Oh, okay. I had a hard time with this one. Let me tell you why. Would you like to know?
I love to know about all your hard times, Dean.
Because Paul is absolutely one of my heroes. And I was searching for what is the legacy of Paul, because he did so many things. You could go to a dozen scriptures that tell about what his legacy is. But when I read through all of them, it seemed like this one was the major one. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah.
1 Timothy 4:6-8. I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. So I think that's pretty close to leaving a legacy there, right? I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. So there's faith. In the future, there is reserved for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. So Paul was a person who loved the appearing of Jesus. Now, to me, this is the mystical realm. Paul wasn't just waiting for Jesus to appear. He wasn't waiting for him to return. He loved his appearing. He loved the appearing of the Lord. Wherever he was, Jesus would show up.
Yeah, Paul wasn't living for, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. He was living in this connective realm, back and forth between the Lord.
That's right. He was living in a place where he was transferring between realms, out of his body. One time he said to one of the churches that he was there checking in on them when they were doing their meetings. He lived in this realm, and he loved the appearing. He loved seeing the Lord.
Yeah, and Jesus lived like that too. He loved this connection with the Father. I only say what I hear the Father saying. So they lived in this connection.
That's right.
He would hear him, and that's why he would speak. He would connect his heart with him, and that's how he lived and loved. Just like Paul loved the appearing.
So this is the legacy of those who love his appearing every day of their lives, right? Everywhere that we are, Jesus is there. We can see him. We see him with the eyes of our heart. We open up our spiritual eyes to the Lord. He's always there. He appears everywhere we are because he's in us and we're in him. It's that co-laboring and that co-investment that he has in us.
A new
co-investment that allows us to see him. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. I want to see you.
Yeah, he has given us a new heart, but are the eyes open?
That's right. Open up your eyes.
Wow, okay. The legacy of intimacy and worship.
This is another huge one.
So in John 12, Mary of Bethany took a pound of very expensive perfume of pure nard and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. That one always gets me because pretty soon after that was when Jesus was executed, right?
Yeah.
So he would have still smelt like that, hanging on the cross when people were walking by.
Yeah. In Matthew 26, there's another account of this. For when she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. That's what Jesus said.
Okay, yeah, wow.
And then it says, truly I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told in memory of her. So that is a legacy. That's something that we still talk about today. That is Mary's legacy. This act of union and worship and love that she lavished on Jesus, where she broke this alabaster jar of, does it say pure nard?
Like a year's worth of wages. Like in the world, usually people tie legacy to wealth.
Yes.
And fame. But here, she didn't care about the wealth or the fame. None of her faith was in the wealth, and she went low and poured it all out on him.
Yeah.
Take it all.
And it left a legacy that we're still talking about.
Yeah.
A legacy of worship. I don't even know what to call it because it doesn't really say what it is here in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I would say it's a legacy of union, intimacy, worship, love.
Just all of them.
All of them, yeah.
Mary takes the cake.
She does. She gets the award.
Hers was documented for us, but I think a lot of times that type of legacy, nobody else in the world hears about.
You're right.
The kingdom knows.
That's right.
Just
they
as
know in heaven.
Yeah, just as powerful as what she did. We've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But they know, and it's a legacy.
Yeah. Karitas.
Are we winding down?
We are down to our last legacy.
Okay, before we finish on this last legacy, do you have any statements you would like to share?
I have no statements today. I gave you my best stuff right at the very beginning.
You just said those were kind of quasi-statements, though.
I have no more statements for you today.
Are you through for the year?
No, we still have a couple more podcasts to go before the end of the year.
There's still some hope.
There's hope.
Okay, so this last one, the legacy of an open and believing heart.
And we chose this one for a purpose because we started talking about Christmas because next week,
Joy to the world.
the Lord has come.
There was
almost sang, almost.
There was a note there.
There was a note. All right. So here we're going to talk about Mary, the mother of Jesus. She has a legacy. Since it's Christmas next week, Luke 1:38, and Mary said, "Behold, the Lord's bondservant, may it be done to me according to your word."
Luke 2:19, but Mary treasured all these things, pondering them in her heart.
So the legacy that Mary left was so significant that she birthed the Savior of the world with an open and believing heart.
Wow.
So I think there's a really tender thing there where we receive the word of the Lord with an open heart. We treasure it and we ponder it and we hold it. And then it brings forth,
You can say birthed.
and then it births things, the miraculous things in our lives. There you
I'm
go.
just thinking of different thesaurical words for birthed,
You would
released, delivered.
trust Karitas to come up with more words like that, being that you are a nurse. I'm sure you're just holding back. So, legacy after legacy, all things that are remembered in the kingdom of heaven, all things that get the notice of heaven. So maybe in the end, Mike Tyson isn't all that wrong.
Yeah. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, meaningless. Did he just read Ecclesiastes? But having that perspective could be a healthy perspective, sweeping out all the garbage of thinking your legacies and all these other things so that the reality of how we're meant to live and for what purpose and meaning can come in.
That's right. So just to end off here today, our legacy is not what we know. It's not our knowledge. It's not the great things that we do. It's not even the fact that we might mentor somebody or pass on what we carry to somebody. The next generation, they get their crack at this. What we pass on, as amazing as that might be, my prayer is that they go further than we do anyways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the end, though, I want to get the attention of heaven.
Truly.
All right, Karitas, that's where we're going to leave it today. I just do want to say that next week is Christmas. And so we're going to do a cool little Christmas
You're finally gonna hear Dean sing.
little Christmas podcast.
No comment on that?
No comment. It'll be nice and short.
Because we know you've got some things to do.
That's right. And then the week after that, we are going to talk about the words that are out there that we're hearing loud and clear, kind of going into the year 2025. And Karitas, in the new year, we're lining up guests.
Ooh, okay. We had some guests when we started the podcast.
That's right.
And then we didn't. Just went with the Holy Spirit.
We rolled.
We just rolled.
Did you know, Karitas, we had to learn how to podcast first.
We had to learn. So sorry, we had to test on you.
We tested you for a whole year. We're feeling like it's time. Let's Go Up is going to take on a completely new look and excitement. So we're going to leave it there. Ponder what kind of a legacy you would like to leave in heaven.
Yeah.
That's where we want to leave it today.
Perfect. Have a good one, guys.
Have an awesome week. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.